Connect the Dots. Welcome to another edition of Connect the Dots, a podcast that brings people from various walks of life to talk to us about their journey, whatever is the thing that they're doing and the way forward, the way the things that they're doing is impacting the society that they're in, because it's important that we've got all paradigm shifts out there, because even in the global space, there are lots going on, insecurity, economic problem, etc. And today we went to Gaidam. Let me bring you from the roots, bringing a doctor that is specialized in medicine and surgery and does advocacy, health advocacy in most of the jobs that she does, maybe day job and other things that she does aside, advocating for women's, particularly their health, reproductive health and all that. And welcome to the podcast, Dr. Halima.
Thank you.
So today, it's really Babanka Muzanche, like it's big fish that we've got today in this space, because you do a lot of things. First, we'd like to go into your journey. Okay. You studied medicine and surgery.
Yes.
What informed that decision of studying medicine? You know, when we are growing up as teenagers, you'd be like, I want to be this, I want to be that. Was it from there or it was after?
Well, I think while I was in secondary school, I think as this one, I actually wanted to be a pilot. But then I think a plane crashed that period. I'm like, hell no, I'm not going to be a pilot. So I'm like, I'm going to be a doctor. Actually, I was like, I want to be a doctor, not because I knew the responsibility that came with it, but more like, my friend wants to be a doctor, so I also want to be a doctor. So even after the WIAC and all that, I was like, okay. When I was writing JAM, I just felt like radiology, radiography, and I was like, let me just do radiography and that's it. But then I was like, if I can do MBBS, which is medicine, I can actually do radiology as more of a specialization.
All right.
So I just sat down with my dad, had a discussion. I was like, I think I really want to be a doctor. He was like, you sure? I was like, okay, sure. Let's go for it. And here I am.
Wow. So it was from my friends want to study medicine and you choose that. Studying medicine is really a daunting kind of job. Though I don't think there is any specialization or career path that you would choose that there won't be any challenge. But for medicine, especially in Nigeria, I don't know if your first degree was in Nigeria, it's really okay. It's really, wherever it is in the world, medicine is something that requires a lot of studying and all that. What was it like for you studying medicine?
Well, at first it wasn't easy because I remembered, I think 200 level, I was actually thinking of dropping out. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, it's stressful, it's this, it's that, but then I'm already in it. So there's nothing I could do. So I just, worked hard, my friends, then my dad. I had a support system, which was my late dad. So, I just took it and here I am. I don't think I would have studied anything aside from, I don't know.
Medicine.
Yes.
Okay, may Allah continue to have mercy on us. So, okay, after studies, what was next for you? Because if you study abroad, I think there is some professional or something course you come and do.
MBBS exam. Yeah, more like a licensing exam.
Yes.
So I graduated, that was 2018.
Okay.
And so I had two plans. I was like, okay, because you hear about the failure rate and all that. So I was like, okay, I should have two plans. Plan A was to start my master's immediately, which I did. And the second one plan was the B. I should just come for my MDCN exam. If I pass, then I'll just start my house job and that's it. But if I fail, I'll just go back and continue my master's. Which, alhamdulillah, my first attempt, I actually passed and I did my house job, NYC, and now I'm here.
Oh, that's great. Did you later go for the master's after then?
Well, I decided not to go back, but then I did my master's here, which is master's in reproductive population and reproductive health. Okay, now let's go into that. I think that's what made you a renowned face on social media platforms. For me, I got to know you on Instagram, and it was because of the kind of content you were reading out. I think the most that drew my attention was the fact that there was a time you were dealing with some cyber bullies that were all over you, saying you're from the north. If you think about your culture, you shouldn't be speaking some certain words and all of that. So when did you start, and what really drew your attention into, I want to start producing content to educate women, especially in northern Nigeria? When it comes to
hue and life here. Let
Yeah.
me mix that. For us in northern Nigeria, is there's some taboo topics around it
Yes,
that you're not
there
allowed
is.
to say anything in public. Yakamata, the kunya, and all of that. So what drew your attention into starting, knowing the fact that you're from northern parts of Nigeria and you're going to receive backlash? Yeah.
Okay, I actually started before my master's.
Okay.
I started when I started my house job. Yeah, late into my house job year, I started it because so during my house job, I noticed something, right? So most people have no idea about preventive measures, like at all. They're more focused on, oh, when you get the disease, just come to the hospital, get medication, get treatment, and all that. But then the cost is higher. So it's more like if you know the preventive measures, the cost is way lower. So you don't have to stress yourself about the payment. I know the financial situation of the country. So I was like, oh, I feel I should start doing something more on preventive health advices, but let me just go on because I've seen a couple of women. They will tell you something like but you're not a woman. Like if you just undergo CS, you're not a woman enough. And so we still have this things, even including amongst the educated ones actually. So I'm like, okay, let me just start it. And that was when I started. And I think the first video was when that caused the controversy and all that.
Absolutely.
And that was a video on female reproductive parts. Yes. So I just wanted women to understand because when they have a knowledge of how their reproductive system is, they won't be cheated at some point. You know, there are a lot of social media stuff, people selling fake things, or when you put it, it's going to go there, when you put it. But then when you understand the anatomy, when someone tells you something, you're like, no, that's not possible. So that was why.
That was why. So it's been like a tedious job for you. You're a doctor, and your job is naturally demanding.
Yes.
That because of the situation in Nigeria, the whole workforce, not enough doctors, that's number one. And then the brain drain around medical parts in Nigeria. So how did you find, creating content and then doing the daunting job of taking care of patients? Okay,
so I see it this way, right? My job is actually my profession. While what I'm doing is more like passion.
Okay.
So I try to separate them. So my profession comes first, yes, very important. But then I wasn't so happy doing just that. Because sometimes you go to the hospital, some things get to you, you get emotions, you're not so happy about the way some things are happening. And then I was like, okay, I need to channel my energy into something that is more positive.
Yeah, much more like something that will be re-energized.
Yes, because I wasn't really happy. I'm like, okay, you come to the hospital, you give a lady a test to go and do of maybe 1,500 and she can't even afford 100 naira. It's really depressing. So I'm like, oh God, I think I need to channel my energy into something that will make me more happy. So I'm like, okay, let me just go for this. Because I started more like health advocacy, but around my area, even before the program actually. So I'm like, okay, let me just go for it. I remembered COVID. That was when I started my, I named it Musella Fear.
Yeah. I saw the page on Facebook.
So I started that even before COVID came to Nigeria. Actually, I was able to go to almost more than 35 government secondary schools in Kano to do an awareness on COVID-19 actually. So after that, but I realized, okay, it wasn't really moving. Let me just change here. So after I started, whenever I have like the weekends off, I try to shoot as many contents as I can. And sometimes I can just spend let's say 2 days just shooting contents. And then I realize I am more happy like when I'm doing that. When I go to the hospital, I'm happy, but you just have to do the job. That's what you have. So and I feel if you have passion for something, you'll find time to do it.
Yes. That's absolutely right. You say a couple prevention is better than a marriage.
Exactly.
You're doing this advocacy, and as it relates to women especially, and the same women come to talk down on you sometimes, saying that there are some certain words that you should not use because you're from northern Nigeria, you're a Muslim lady, and I know there is a lot. Can you just tell us some brief details on things that made you feel like I need to continue doing this? Because people are talking down on me, but I can't stop because of anyone. So what are those things that gives you the boost to continue what you're doing and educating people women on reproductive system?
So I tend to focus more on the positivity,
Mm-hmm.
like the negativity. I tend to like pull it away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, even if it's one person that comes to me, oh, I learned this thing and so on your page. I actually have this kind of, let's say, times 100 motivation. But you know, the negativity, I just see it more like, oh, it's either they can't do it, or they're not capable of doing it, or they're not from a family that is supportive of them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they don't just like me as a person, not really what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually understand where some people, you know, bully and stuff. Like, I just give myself benefit of, okay, they're just, maybe they're not happy or something like that. So, but you know, it gets to you sometimes.
Definitely.
But then focusing on the positive side, actually, because I have my family there, I have my close friends that we actually have the same kind of psychology and mentality, should I call it that way?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just tend to focus on them, and that's it.
Social media is really key. Like if you look, most of the young people that you see their content out there,
Yeah.
especially on platforms like TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
it's just some irrelevant stuff that you do.
Yeah.
What took you to Instagram precisely? Because I know I started seeing your videos on Instagram. Why did you choose Instagram to put your content out there? Before I knew there was any Facebook page, I knew Instagram.
Okay, so I think I actually joined I had my Facebook account, but it wasn't really active.
Mhm.
I became more active, I think, just 3 months back,
Okay.
actually. And for TikTok, I joined, I think, January, that was 2022.
2.
Yes, January I joined. So Facebook, I had no idea why I started from Instagram, actually. But I just felt like, oh, Instagram was one that was bubbling at that time. I was like, oh, let me just join, and yeah, that was the reason why I joined. I have no reason why I first joined Instagram, actually.
Okay, so how do you use the platform? Like, you know, you've got a daunting job and you need to post content frequently
Yeah.
to retain your followers or
Yeah.
audience. And so, how do you make your posting, do your recordings, and be able to balance your normal day
Right.
job and social media content all together?
Okay, so you know, with time, Facebook actually created something like a scheduled post.
Mhm.
So you can schedule your post for the next 3 months. So once you shoot that, just edit it within like a week or even few days. You can just schedule it and you just forget about it. So reason why sometimes I don't even check comments. I actually started checking comments recently on Facebook because I realized it was so negative. So I stopped. But now, you know, I'm very good when it comes to blocking. So I developed this attitude of, once I see a comment, I don't see the reason why, because I want to have a follower, I should just take in all the negativity that comes with whatsoever someone posts on my platform. I feel I can screen my followers, which was what I did on Instagram. So whenever I see a negative comment, I just block. So that's why now on my Instagram, you don't tend to see negative comments and all that. So the same thing I'm doing for like all
Other
the
platforms.
others, yes. Especially Facebook also. But now I think alhamdulillah, it's actually fine. I check the comments once in a while, and that. But for TikTok, I don't actually check comments that
Okay.
much because I have work, I have an NGO to run, I have this content to do, I have this to do that. So
You're passionate about advocacy and all that relates to women, because I'm sure there's this saying that Chiwa Yamachi. So you're passionate about advocacy. What exactly is that thing that you want to see change in the medical line for women? Because you know, in northern Nigeria, but maybe education-wise, they will say, no, a girl child should not get a certain level of education because it will expose whatever and all that. And you see that people actually withdraw their children or what from uni because of that. And there are very little or minimal amounts of medical or doctors in northern Nigeria, female doctors. So what would you like to see change in that direction? Because you're female, you're from northern Nigeria, and then you're making impact. I think I would say, for me, I believe that you're the first person that was able to come out of that box, like, no, you shouldn't do this because you're from northern Nigeria. And because your field is really something that is really important to every sector of the economy and all.
So I think first I'll start with, I think now we're getting somewhere, especially when it comes to like female doctors. I think the thing is kind of improving. It was better than before, actually. And what I would like to say is, I believe one thing I actually want to see changing is the number of women that die as a result of pregnancy complicated goes, because these things are preventable. And like the northern Nigeria has the highest number of mortality rates. No one deserves to die as a result of preventive things that are preventable. But then they don't get adequate information about these things. For example, now let me give you an example with VVF fistula. When you go to some places, you hear something like, "Oh, it's because she's a bad person that this thing is happening to her. It's because she's a this, because she's a that." And also, when it comes to when people talk about child marriage, people look at it from the Islamic point of view and all that. So, but sometimes you just have to see things the way they are. Especially when it comes to, there are lots of children battling with VVF. And one thing I want people to understand is physical development is totally different from internal development.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to the female pelvis, like it's small, it's inadequate. Because it's just like the more you grow, you get taller, you get bigger and stuff. So when it comes to VVF, child marriage is there, but also it can happen to an older woman also. So, and no woman is above that. So we still live in a society whereby when such things happen to women, you hear stories like, "Oh, she's a bad person," or the husband even divorced her. She's been stigmatized, she's this, she's that. That even some men, a woman having her period for like more than 7 days is a problem for them.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that I actually, when it comes to the health sector, I feel the North needs to do better, especially when it comes to the awareness. It's awareness we need, because this is actually preventable. But once you're informed about something, I think you know how to take decisions better. And education, okay, let me just use this as an example. You hear sometimes the Islamic scholars saying something like, "Oh, you should allow your girls to study medicine or any health-related course so that they'll be attending to their fellow women instead of a man attending to them." But sometimes I won't say same people, but it tend to be like marrying a doctor, she doesn't have time, she doesn't have this, she cannot do your children this.
Double standards.
So I don't understand. You're encouraging people to go and study health related courses. It comes with a sacrifice. I always say that.
Absolutely.
If you're marrying a doctor, any health related course, be it a nurse, you have to know that you're getting married to someone that has already sacrificed her life for humanity. That's the way I see it. Because like nothing is worth really spending your entire, let's say, 35 hours, 36 hours in the hospital. You need to have passion for that thing. And it's not like you're playing there, you're saving lives. But when it comes to doctors, they don't have time for their family. Come on, I've seen doctors that have one of the best children in the world actually, and both couples are actually doctors. But so it's like we live in a society whereby some people are encouraging it, and at the same time
much more like a double-edged sword.
And then sometimes you see people saying, but yet when you come to the hospital, you bring your wife or your child, you want a female doctor to attend to that person. So when it comes to health and education, I think this guy in the North, we can do better. But alhamdulillah, we'll get there one day. Inshallah.
With this, we'll go on a short break. We're taking a message from Canada Nigeria Limited. We'll be right back. Ding ding, and welcome back. We took a message from Canada Nigeria Limited, a bespoke fashion outfit where you can get whatever you need in terms of modest dresses. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you,
Dr. Naima. Yeah, a lot's been said, and the last part was making sure we do better in northern parts of Nigeria when it comes to the health of our people, right? So now let's go into what you're doing on Instagram, for instance. When you make your content and you post out there, what kind of engagement do you actually expect, and does it tally with what you see?
Yes, I actually do. So whenever I post something, I always check the insight, especially how number of shares. It helps you, and also the the reach on it, and it's always very high. All the time. Like I checked my reach both on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I checked the last couple of months, it was more than 30 million reach actually.
Wow.
Which is huge. So that means it's really going somewhere, and I'm sure people will learn from it.
Okay, so linking back to the previous question that you gave made mention of us doing better. In what ways do you think we can do better, especially in northern Nigeria, when it comes to people's health? Like, it's really important, but we are really lacking behind.
So I feel the government is actually trying, but even individuals need to do something. You don't just sit. Yeah, you have to, like, for example, the reason why I have my NGO called Shewin Foundation, which is Sustainable Health and Empowerment International Foundation. The NGO is just going to focus on especially mentorship. You know, I've gone to a couple of secondary schools in Kano and government, and whenever I go, they're always asking, are you a nurse or you're a doctor? So still, a lot of these girls believe only men can be doctors, actually. And even sometimes in the hospital, as long as you're a lady, you're a nurse.
Yeah.
In the north.
There is that misconception.
Thank you, yes. So even amongst these girls, so I'm like, okay, we need to have like a mentorship program to be going to the schools and even hard to reach communities and make these girls understand they can achieve whatever they want to achieve in life, actually. And even when it comes to awareness, if each doctor in Nigeria, you don't have to do a video or anything, as simple as write up, it will go a long way. There are a lot of things you can write about that people have no idea about them. So even that, you're actually helping indirectly, spreading the awareness. And also, like, so I was having a conversation with a colleague, and I told her something like, if doctors in each state can come together actually and have like an NGO, let's say it's only one NGO, but like each state has a group, we can raise funds together and be doing something to even help the government, because we actually march.
Yeah.
But then you hear something like, no, like when I started my girls talk, I had something like, we're just doing it. Like, it's not going to get anywhere. So, but I feel we need to remove that kind of mentality. It's always better to have positive mindset that yes, we can actually do it and we will do it.
MashaAllah, we pray that things get better. You started content creation to create awareness over 2 years ago, I believe. And then I saw that those content took you to a lot of places. What are those very distinctive things that your content creation brought you to? I remember that I saw your post on Mandela Washington Fellow. Maybe you can take us through that journey and the impact in your life. Yeah.
So I remembered the person that sent me the fellowship. I actually fought with the person because the person kept telling me, just apply, just apply. I'm not going to get it. Like 1% pass rate, I'm not going to get, because I'm sure a lot of people will apply. And he was like, no, just apply. So I applied the day to the deadline actually. And what I noted was, like, you know, essays. I didn't really focus on the essays, but I wrote something. But what I did was all my social media platforms and anything you need to know, everything was there. And when I applied, I think in Nigeria were like 9,000, more than 9,000 applicants, and only 56 of us got the fellowship. Like, that made me understand, girl, you have to continue doing this. That was like a wake-up call for me. I'm like, okay, that means what I'm doing is really amazing. So I have to keep on pushing. So going for the fellowship, meeting, you know, young leaders across, you know, Africa, I realized actually youths are doing amazing things, just that you don't know them. And getting experience from, I made sure, so we're I think 23 in my school, I think, I made sure I learned something from each person. And they kept on telling me, because I think I had one of the highest social media presence actually amongst us, and I kept on hearing something like, oh my god, you have huge followings, you have huge that. But for me, I'm like, okay, is this really a big deal? That was when I realized actually followers are a big deal. That means you are influencing people actually. You can do this, you're doing this amazing thing. If I was the one, I would have done this, I would have done that. I just realized, okay, I didn't really have a guide. It's something I just started on my own, and I'm gradually like putting myself through it. I will learn with time. And coming back from it, the Dr. Naima that I went for the fellowship is not the same Dr. Naima that I came back. Yes, because I changed a lot of things. Even on my social media, if people like notice carefully, I changed a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Yes. So
your approach, there was slight change in your approach, and I discovered that you're more like you've grown like a thick skin towards a lot of things, and Yeah, it's really a great improvement. Yeah, go
So
on.
I really so the NGO also, because that was where I had my coach. So you have a coach for personal development and all that. They're going to guide you more like a roadmap. And after having that conversation, I'm like, okay, so I'm coming back to Nigeria and actually like a better version of me. And even when I came back, some people have told me close to me that, oh my God, you're not acting kind of differently. The way you do your things are not kind of different. I'm like, of course, you need to be developing, with how will I even explain it, with time. And then when I was there, an idea came to me. Okay, I'm going to US for this fellowship. I shouldn't come back as the normal doctor anymore. So an idea came to me. I bought a lot of models because I asked myself, is there any non-governmental organization or is there any health content creator that uses like images to explain? Because so most of the medical books, there are images. I'm very pictorial actually. Once there's picture, I'm very attentive. So I'm like, even other people are like that. So I got the models and stuff. Though I've not started using a lot of them, but there was one I just used one that I was like, what are you coming to teach us? What are you coming to do that? But yeah, well, growth. That's what I would just call it, yeah.
Alhamdulillah for the growth, and I believe that you will do better with all of this knowledge you've acquired, inshallah. So, was it after the Mandela Washington Fellowship that you started your NGO?
Yes.
Okay. And what streamline are you doing for the NGO?
So now, actually, our target is more of on health awareness, empowerment, and leadership development for women and girls. Actually,
okay.
So now we're in the first phase, which is more that has to do with partnering with stakeholders, advocacy visits, just to kind of have an idea of how everything runs, because I've never really been in the development space till now. So you need to visit some people actually to get consultations, to get advice on how to go about doing a lot of things. And alhamdulillah, I think I'm getting it well.
Alhamdulillah. So would you say that the NGO, you're looking at it from the angle of getting to the Bill and Melinda Gates tie, the MacArthur Foundation and all?
Okay, so let me put it this way. The fellowship has actually paved a way that I never expected I would get. So that's the way I actually see it, and it's something that people will get to know about very soon, inshallah. But that's all I can say. As a starting NGO, what I've gotten because of the fellowship, actually, it's something amazing. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Where do you see your personal brand? Dr. Naima, or I'll say Girls Talk series in the next couple of years?
I intend to see it in a broader way. Partnering with, let's say, United Nations, UNICEF, CDC, USAID, like doing big projects to actually have more positive impact when it comes to health on women and children, actually, and also men. So, and yeah, I think that's where I see the next couple of years. And
inshallah, you will get there. So you've dealt with cyberbullies before. What was it like dealing in such situation? Because I know for me, once upon a time, someone made a comment and I spent almost all my night thinking that. So people got this kind of mentality. So for you, because I remember vividly, there was this social media older lady that was fighting your battle like much more at the forefront. Like, no, she's doing the best thing. She's educating people, and then don't do this and all of that. How did you deal with it? Because cyberbullies have a way of using words that you would not forget.
So before I started, I knew what I was getting myself into. So I kind of, this is going to come, but I should see it more like something that will motivate me to do better. Because I always tell myself one thing: I'm never going to cross my limit. I have media can push you to do something that you regret
absolutely.
Later. So I always have there's a thin line between doing the right thing and the wrong thing. So I'm always like, I know my boundary and I cannot cross this. So when people come with the insults, the threats, and all that, I just take it in. But there was one that actually got me, which was an Islamic scholar, Malami, that made a comment about me. I think that was the only comment that got me because I cried about it. and I called a friend, Khadija, and midnight, I think around 2, 3, and we discussed it with her. I was like, I cried not because it really got to me that bad, but because I felt he was also a father.
Yeah.
And if you call yourself an Islamic scholar, you're also a teacher. Actually. So if you felt I was doing the wrong thing, you should have just called
Find
me.
a way to call you aside.
Talk to me. I will listen to you, because you can't call me and then I'll walk out on you. I can never do that. So talk to me, I'll understand. But using some words on me, I felt it was very harsh. But then I'm like, okay, he's human. He's not perfect. And then, but it's something I'll never forget. I've forgiven him, but it's something I can never forget, actually.
So if you're going to advise yourself or other young people, because you've like made a lead for other young people to think, okay, I can tap into this exact venture that you're into, which brought you a lot of backlash, where you were able to stand tall. If you're going to advise a young person doing the same thing that you're doing, especially from northern Nigeria, that okay, I'm advising you, this is the way to go about your content, so that you don't break out in the middle of the thing, or you go away from it because of the kind of comments or the feedback you get from people.
Just have a target, and just how would I even say it? You have a target. Just look towards the target. Don't really focus on whatsoever obstacle is going to come along the way. Just tell yourself you're going to cross it. It's going to be difficult sometimes, especially if it involves family. So, but once those just make it like a stepping stone. Because once you get there, trust me, everyone will be so proud of you. For me now, I'll call it history is in the past. Like I've passed that stage in my life whereby people know this, because I proved to a lot of people I knew what I was doing. And a lot of people felt, oh, she was just doing it for the fame. She just wanted to be known. That wasn't my target. My target was, I never wanted a national recognition. My target was, I wanted a global recognition that will make me realize, yes, what you're doing is actually right. And I got that. So, and now people be like, I Dr. Naima take kaza, kaza, kaza. The people that were actually against you before, actually the ones that are proud of you now. So it's a matter of time, but resilience.
Okay, so quickly, what was it like for your family when you said you were going to start something like this?
Oh, well, it wasn't easy at first. My mom, and especially a lot of people, came telling her things, and because my dad is late, and they came and telling her, no, she should not do this, she should not do that, kaza, kaza. So there was time we had a conversation, and I made her understand. They always say, where I've been the babba hangu, karan bazi hangu. I'm like, Mama, at this point, I've been the babba nazi hangu. That he's not going to hangu anything, because I am the one that will hangu it, because I'm the doctor, I'm the medical professional here, and I know what I can get if I do this. So, and she was like, okay. I explained everything to her, and I'm like, I know what I'm doing, and if I've made any mistake from so time to so time, I'm going to cut off doing this. And she was like, to Allah by the sa'a. And that's it.
It's really important. And lastly, culture and religion is one thing when it comes to whatever you do, especially when you put yourself out there on social media. People use your culture and say, like, she's not from the north, because northerners are known to be the shy type and all of that. Was there any point that you felt your culture was blocking you from doing some certain things, or it's trying to make you limit yourself to do some certain things?
No, I just told myself, okay, no one is doing it. Why can't I do it? And I did it. I did look at the culture, because it's not religion actually. It's more like the culture from So I'm like, what did the religion say about this? There's nothing. So I'll just do it.
MashaAllah. Thank you so much for being part of the podcast. We really appreciate it. I'm sure that will get you back and talk more on NGO or something reproductive system of women. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your support. And that's it on this week's Connect the Dots. And we've spoken with Dr. Naima Idris, social media person that creates content that educates women, most especially on their reproductive part and the way to take care of themselves, the preventive measures to be taken. Like they say, COVID prevention is better than cure. Many thanks for joining, and ding ding, see you again next week.